Here another cold hillside. Some would say that is grey and barren and uninviting. But I love these hills. I love Scotland. On these treeless hills, there is no place to hide from yourself. So, in the words of the poet David White, not the exact words, I'm paraphrasing, self-knowledge is unattainable. We exist at this frontier between what we think we know and what we are about to become. And in my own experience, I think that is very true. As soon as we say, I know this, at last, that boundary between shadow and light that draws us into the mystery, as soon as we say, I know this, the boundary moves and the mystery presents itself again. So over time, I think with age and familiarity with that process, there's a kind of strange duality to how I feel now. I witness the self with a bit of compassion and a bit of humour, and it's like being the self and the witness at the same time, I suppose. So I made myself laugh when I watched that last video I made, re-watching it during the week, and my definitive, absolute statement that persona is gone. Of course it hasn't. Persona shifts and changes and is in flux, but all my life I had that need to be seen, to present something that people could see. So I had a very pronounced persona, a manipulation of other people's thoughts, and that has changed. The apology has gone. That question that sat within me since I was a little boy, am I okay? Am I allowed to be here? Is it okay to be me? Yeah, it is. It is. Where once the flavour of my persona and this journey has changed. I think once I could have been described as tutti frutti ice cream, brightly coloured with chewy bits. And now, thankfully, shifting into something more subtle. Vanilla, maybe. Conventional but never boring. So, maybe not conventional either. So, I think it's a relief to let go, to surrender. It's a strange, dynamic transition, for me anyway, speaking personally. An effort to become real, to take control and say, this is me. I am the creator of myself. I am the highest authority in my life. And to take control at such a fundamental level feels powerful. You feel safe, no longer confused because you're in control. But all of that is an illusion. And I think transition is and can only be an inevitable journey back to yourself. And to become real, you have to let it go. And that's difficult. To liberate yourself from that attachment, that desire to be real, to be here, to be seen. No one sees you though. No one really sees you. And that makes you feel even more kind of isolated and scared. But for me, the heart, my soul just yearned to make contact with the world, to be here. So no amount of fear or pain could stop that. And I think there is a necessary humiliation on that journey, becoming real, because you have to examine the falseness of your persona, and you have to realise that everybody could see it. And that's humiliating because it hid what you did not want to be seen, that which you couldn't accept, you didn't want to accept. But to be here, I am seen, not just by others, but by life, by the world. Each moment sees me. Each moment sees me. And I never felt that before. I always felt isolated. So reconciling the absurdity of transition with the reality of being here, I think has taken a long time. It is absurd to think you are something you are not. No matter how valuable the journey I went on was, and it was fascinating and rewarding in many ways. In the materiality of our form, there is a teaching, I think, a teaching that to receive fully we must embody what we are fully, and if we don't do that, we can't receive that teaching fully. So in some way I have crippled my ability to be fully physically what I am. So I can live with that. I have no choice. But to be here as I am, as a man, as a male, I can still do that. In my heart, in my soul, in my mind, and the liberation from stories and the self-delusion of attachment and the illusion of control. To let that go, I'm here. So that's the journey I've been on. And I think it is a necessary journey for trans people to go on. And you come back to yourself. And then what is it? It's just something you've done, not something you are. So I had a long conversation with a friend in America on Saturday. We spoke for 3 hours. Intense and varied conversation. It was wonderful. They also transitioned 30 years ago. And they're younger than me. They transitioned in their late teens. I transitioned in my late 20s. So, I transitioned 25 years ago, began hormones. So we talked about many aspects of identity, attachment, the journey we've been on, the cultural context for the trans ideology and the trans movement. Lots of other things. We agree that it is a destabilising idea, encourages the individual into relativism and instability, a disrupted relationship with objective reality, and it is a problem. And at the end of the conversation, I posed a question. Would we have rather lived in a world where this was not possible? That's a big, big question. They said they weren't sure. But I am. I wish this wasn't a possibility. I wish it wasn't. I think we'll look back on this time very soon and see it for what it is, insanity. We're so disconnected from truth. We don't even see the absurdity of men who've had surgery and hormones competing in women's sports, and somehow we are supposed to think of them as women. Ridiculous. Or the insanity and brutality of encouraging children to choose what they are and not be what they are. I think we are rebalancing as humanity, a collective. We are rebalancing and re-establishing our relationship to truth. Hence the destabilising effect we see within culture as those that are lost in delusion still and invested in it fight to hold on rather than face the truth. So I feel quite hopeful, to be honest. I feel very hopeful. And so we'll see where it goes over the next few years. So I have my consultation with the surgeon who's going to be removing my implants on, the consultation was on Thursday, so I shall probably be speaking about that in the next video. Feel very relieved to be moving on. Okay, I'll leave it there, and I'll see you in the next video.